We are going to be transforming this dusty old fence into something amazing.
So I've come down to Southgate Timber to pick up our materials. So what sort of timbers do you keep here, Char?
So we stock Western Red Cedar, Siberian Larch, Douglas Fir and Thermo AUs for cladding and fencing.
So Liz, what fence do you recommend we use?
I would like to think that you're going to put some cedar up.
And what style?
Today we're going to look at the barcoding. We're opting for 3 different sizes of timber. 20 by 45, 20 by 70 and 20 by 95. So that's your timber there, all ready now?
Perfect, let's get it loaded up and get back to the garden.
Now that Brad's back with our lumber, it's time to get this 4v1 treated pine installed on our posts.
To fix our timber to the fence, we're actually going to be using something called Power Grab and Bond from Cedar.
So we have asked for permission to attach this to this, but we still don't want to use anything mechanical because then you risk blowing out the other side. So we're going to get this attached. So a couple of things, we've left a gap at the bottom, that's just to prolong the life of the timber, and also we're actually a little bit longer than the original post, and that's going to become very clear a little bit further in the video. So we cut all of our batten stand with the D-Walt chop saw. That's a 305 there, very good saw. These are all treated and we just cut them down to a set length, so 1700, squared up the ends, marked our length and then cut it off, and then we installed them all at once. So you can see that Power Grab and Bond on all the posts, and then when we're installing this we just make sure we smudge it around. It just helps with that grab.
So we've let the Power Grab and Bond go off for 24 hours just to make sure before we screw our new fence on. So we're just going to double check. When to become one. He just says stupid things.
So before we start looking at installing our fence, we need to get ourselves a datum line, and what that is basically a level line all the way through, and it doesn't matter where it is on the post as long as it's level. So using a laser level last night when it was dark, so I'm not actually going to do it now. We run a line and I've marked it, so if you have a little look, this is nowhere in particular, it's just equal on every single post. So now we can start marking out for our actual fence. It's so loud. I feel like I'm in the middle of a construction site. Oh wait, I am.
Right, so Phil's actually got a step to overcome in his garden, and to get a better finish on the bottom of this, Phil don't want to actually start here just in case there's a nasty cut going over. So we're actually going to start on top and run one continuous piece the whole way down his garden. Our Barcode style of fence is actually going to consist of 3 different sizes, and it's totally down to Phil what way we lay this.
Our first piece that I'm going to be using is the smaller of the 3 sizes. So using our datum point, so that little mark that we put all the way through, I'm going to use a 5mm spacer on the floor because I want a gap. Then I'm going to sit my piece, and then you can either measure with a tape or using some packers we can just figure out the gap. So we've got 2 5s, which means 10mm. So I'm going to mark this here. I'm going to do the same on the opposite end. Now that we've got our 2 lines, I'm going to use a chalk line, pull this and ping it, and basically there's 2 reasons for that. 1, it's nicer for you to look at when we're installing it so you can see what's happening, and 2, it gives you something to follow if you don't do this very often. So you don't need to do it, but it is a good idea to do it. So we're going to set our chalk line here. So once we had our chalk line in place, we started off with our 45mm Cedar. So that was the smallest of the sizes. So we put our 5mm packers down and we literally just run it along that chalk line, and then me and Brad started measuring out for the next pieces, remembering to always square up our ends because these are fresh out the mill, so you can't really rely on those ends. So square them up and then cut them to length and then get them all installed with our stainless steel hardware.
Now you visually can see what Phil's done. He's managed to run one continuous line all the way over with no nasty cuts going over the step. Hopefully we've got a size that fits in here. If not, we may have to cut one.
I was going like this. If you shake this, and then it left it for a bit. It actually holds itself a little bit. Oh yeah.
So distracted. Hopefully this size fits.
So this is the biggest one we've got.
If it don't, we'll have to cut it.
Go up to like nearly 5 mil.
Yeah.
I am happy with that gap.
How's that?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
That literally wasn't planned. That was literally by chance. So now we're just going to cut it down so it meets the post. Are we going to stagger this one, Phil, to the other joint? This is
Yeah.
We'll
Always
explain
stagger
about
the
the staggering in a bit.
So what we were discussing is basically having our joins on 2 opposite posts. So if you look there, you'll see we've got a joint on the left and then a joint on the right. We're not got them all in a line because that's what we want to avoid. Oh, this absolute.
What, you didn't want 2 spaces?
No.
Why did you tell me to measure it with 2?
So it accounts for the opposite side.
Why would you give me 2 and then...
Well, I didn't realise you was. And I even said to him, "What, is that tight down there?" And he was like, "Yeah." So once I told Brad how much of a good worker he was, it was time to move on and fix the joint that he had created. Here's a little top tip for you. So when we're measuring for our pieces, we're going to have a packer in each side. So if we just grab 2 and then measure up there and then just stick these against the gap and then just take your measurement from the left hand side, which is 109, we've then accounted for our expansion and it's much easier to measure. So even though I did my little trick with the packers, the face on this decking actually sits slightly off. So all I'm going to do is use my pencil and just follow the line. So now I've got a wonky line to follow and that'll leave the exact gap I need. So just cut it.
Philly! At least tell the people at home what you're doing.
Well, that's on me, that one. So I'm putting a level line down the centre where our joins are going to be and also where our screws are going to be. So when we're finished, everything's going to be uniform because it's very easy just to stagger the joints slightly. And when it's finished, it'll look bloody horrible.
So
get out of my way. Slow me down. So once we had our vertical lines, it was time to start running in our barcode style fence. So the pattern is just completely random. I'm just making it up as I'm going along. Brad's stacking out the pieces with the packers and I'm following up with some stainless steel screws. Tongue tight, I believe the brand or the make was called, and these were about 40 millimeters long. So we're just putting in one central of each post in each run that we're doing, and then we're just chasing each other up and down.
Philly! It's your time to shine.
You shall not pass. Right, so what am I saying?
So I want to talk to you guys about the layout and the design of our fence. As you can see, we've got 3 piles of timber here and we're making sure when we're installing them randomly that we're keeping the piles equal. And also, Phil is going to explain these.
So these are from Star Wars. So the idea of this is to support the centre of our slats. So because the span is 6 foot, we're going to end up with sagging. So if you come close, you'll see that they've not got tons of strength in the centre. So rather than installing a post into the ground, what we do is we use some 25 by 50 battens and we're going to fix them in the centre of the span, making sure we keep our spacings all the way up, and what that's going to do is add a lot of rigidity to the span.
But we're going to show you as we go.
So the way I installed these was to set a laser up central of the 2 posts and then put the batten behind and then fix it to that top slat, making sure it goes all the way down to the bottom, and then really drag out the clip for no reason, and then we screw that in. And now what we could do is we can plumb that part up without worrying about holding it in place. So now that it's holding itself, we can put our 5mm packers all the way through. You might have to push and pull these bits as you're doing it because they're sagging. So this is exactly what we're trying to prevent. And then once they are in, we're going to use our level to plumb that extra support in. So we just slide that alongside and make sure it's nice and plumb. Once it's plumb, we put a second screw in, and now we don't need to worry about holding it in position. We can just run through, putting all our stainless steel screws in, The one thing you do need to check is that the packers are tight as you go. So I have checked these. If they're loose, you either need to pull the batten up or you need to push it down just to make sure that that packer is tight, otherwise you've not got the 5mm that you need.
So that's it, all the additional supports are installed, and all that helps with is the sagging in between the two posts. And it also helps keep a consistent gap in between the slats. And you may notice that we've got a big pile of wood here, and that's because Phil has created, don't throw things at me, a cut list. And he's going to explain how he actually done this.
So what a cut list is basically all of the cuts we're going to need for the rest of our fence. And what that's going to do is save us time and energy going back and forth measuring. So we've got two different cut lists. So we've got a join there and then not a join. So this is two different lists of cuts. So what we've done is we've marked out all of the different sizes on the end of our post just to give us an idea of the design we're going to run with, and then we've written down how many of each we want, and then we've just cut everything all at one time. So once all of our timber was cut, it was just a simple case of repeat, 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 and watch the fence really start to come together.
So as we've been installing the fence, we've actually found a faster method, and that's leaving packers at each joint in the fence and just lifting them up as we go.
Right, we've took a quick break from installing the fence now that Megatron over the back has turned his stupid machine off, and I can hear to explain the screws we're using. So if you come in close, so these screws are, one, they're stainless steel because normal screws will stain the cedar, and two, you'll see the head is very, very tiny on these, and that is so that they sink into the timber and eventually that will close up and pretty much disappear. So we're going to get the last 5 rows that we've got left to install and show you how we cap it all off. So that is it, that is our finish height. This is where we're going to be stopping our new fence. And before we put our cap on, we need to cut all of those battens flush with the top. So we just whiz along with our multi-tool and get rid of those so that they're perfectly flush. Right, now that we're up to height and we've cut the tops of the battens behind off, there's a little step we like to add. You could leave it like this, but for us it needs that little extra bit, and that is to add a cap onto the top. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. One, it looks very nice, and two, it's actually a feature you should have because it redirects water from the top of the timber, just like any standard panel, and it helps to prolong the life. So along with the cap, we're also installing some LEDs. So these are from Allco Lighting. So if we just chuck these up here, you'll see how they're going to work. So that's going to get installed there. And on top of that, we've taken some 145 by 20 cedar and we have created this custom cap. So it's got a recess here that's going to take the LED track, and it's also got the top, the chamfer. Let's show you how we made it.
Let's show how we made it. How did you make it?
145, 140. So once Brad had finished messing about, it was time to start creating these custom caps. So we decided on a width, set our saw, and then we lower our blade down because we don't like to run our blade too far through the material. We just think this is a little bit safer. So we just stripped them all down to the width that we needed. So what I've set this to now is the thickness of the LED track so that it's recessed into our cap, because we don't want our cap to sit over the top of it. And then to get the height that we need to set our blade at, I took our LED track, hooked it over the top, And then I've just measured from the back of our battens to the front of that track. And ours come in at 50mm. So what that looks like on the saw is the blade being up to 50mm and the fence being the thickness of the track. And we can literally just push our material through. Oh look, to me, to you Barry. So now that we've cut through the back, you should end up with something like this. Now what we're going to do is set our fence, which is this piece here, to the thickness of our cut, which is there. And then the next thing we need to do is set our blade so that we're only cutting through to there where we've already cut. The way you can get the depth, if we just sit our piece on there, we could just wind down to where we've cut, like so. And now we can push all of our pieces through. So we've done the rebates on all of the pieces. So as you can see, we've got a little rebate on the back. Our next step is to measure the thickness and put a centre mark. So we know we've cut ours to 100, so it's 50mm. So now that we've got our centre mark, we're going to set the angle. So the angle we're picking, you can pick whatever you like. But we're going to go with a little 6 degrees. So we'll slap 6 degrees on our saw, like so. And then we're going to lift the blade up to that centre mark. So the highest part of that blade needs to be on that centre mark. And the last step is to adjust our fence so that the very tip of the blade is at the thickness of our timber. So the thickest part of the timber to the edge of the blade. So now our timber just hits that tooth at the very top. And now we're going to run it through with the face out. So this is the side we want to put our angles on. This needs to face towards the blade. So we're going to run it through once that way, then we're going to flip it and run it through once that way, and I'll show you the result of that. So that's how close our blades were. That little tip bit, we can just snap that off, and that is now the peak. So now the water can run away, and there's one more step. And that step is to add a cut underneath, and what that does is prevent the water from tracking back towards our fence. So we've cut our first groove in, but that's not going to be wide enough because the water will be able to track over that. So I've just moved the fence one thickness of the blade, and we're going to run them all through again, and then that will be our drip complete. So what's happened is I've set my blade literally 0.5 of a millimetre further than I needed it to. So we've ended up with a little bit of timber in here. So what I'm doing is I'm just dragging a screwdriver through just to take out this little bit here. One last step before we install our caps, and that is to run some 120 grit sandpaper on our DA just to remove the little blade marks and look at the difference. So we'll just go over all of the rest of the cappings, and then we will show us installing them. But before we do show you us installing them, we need to install our LED tracks from Allco. So we're using some super fast from Cedar just to attach them to the top of the fence before we add our screws that will be going through the caps and through the tracks. That was a rhyme. That would probably hold it for the rest of life anyways, but what we're going to do, because this is drilled into the top to allow us to screw through, we're going to get the rest of this in, and then we're going to slide those cappings on top and fix through one of the holes, that way clamping everything together.
Right, that's it. We have got the LED track installed the whole way, and now it's time to install the capping, and we're going to move on to over here where Phil is. So Phil, how are we getting on?
I was getting on just fine. So anyway, the next step is to cut our caps down, because we wanted all of our joints in line with the other joints that we've got, because we didn't want them staggered. We wanted it all to be uniform. So me, Mike and Brad, sometimes when he weren't sitting down on his phone, got them all installed with our screws. Right, that's the capping all done and our LED track installed. So now it's time to push in our LED Flex Extreme, and this is from Allco. And remember, everything will be linked down in the description. So we're going to get this installed and show you how easy it is to use. So with this kit, all you need to do is push the LED inside of the track. There's no cap, there's nothing like that. It is really that easy. And once you get to the end, you just cut it to length and install another cap. And that is the finish. We're not going to be oiling this for another 6 to 8 weeks because you need to let the timber settle, and then we'll oil it. But my God, what a finish. Right, that is our fence complete.
Make sure you subscribe. Love you, bye.